Yeah, sorta, kinda is a podcast about life lessons and unknowable things.
By two non-experts.
That's us. We're the non-experts. We don't know shit, guys.
We really don't. This episode,
We're going to talk about
What are the things that are going on in our lives?
it's kind of like maybe this might be like,
Yeah, sorta, kinda.
life lesson.
hi, unknowable things.
There's things,
And there's unknowable things.
there's things that we cannot know.
Just to clarify, I think of it as like, I think we were touching upon spiritual stuff, mystical stuff, supernatural stuff. There's definitely, we both have definitely experienced physical things, like where you see something, you see a ghost, an apparition, as you would say, or you feel something. But to me, that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more to it. I think it's the way you look at life, the way we look at life, the way I look at life, is the spirituality, the mysticism of that. And maybe that's because I grew up in Oklahoma. It's a little more, at least it was back then, a little more mystical in the area that I was at. So you're more susceptible to that, more open.
Are you familiar with the concept of nature versus nurture?
Uh-huh.
Like, I wonder if it's just not you, though. I mean, yes, you grew up in Oklahoma, so you're probably exposed to these ideas, but I also think it's part of who you are. Because for me, I feel like I kind of came into this world with a certain way of seeing things.
Absolutely.
And even though I know there were influences from my, religious upbringing and family dynamics, there's just certain things that are inherently who I am.
Absolutely.
Right.
I couldn't agree with you more. That's what I mean. So I think because I came into the world like that, but I did grow up in a place where it was encouraged or reinforced.
Because for me, it was all under that like non-denominational evangelical free Christian context. That's what I was receiving. That's what was being told to me. But there was a part of me that was like, yeah, but I see more than just that.
Me too. Like, I grew up Catholic. Right. You know what I mean? It's a lot of guilt there. I'm still working through that, but that's a thing there. But yeah, but there was still this mystical side of it. And I think when you're a child, and people talk about this so much, you're closer to God or closer to source. You're closer from where you originated when you come to this world, and you're more able to see or to feel things. I mean, I know I was very, for lack of a better expression, magical child. I think I really saw the world as it is, and then as we get older, gravity of this place just kind of comes upon us.
The way that I see it is like our senses get overpowered.
Yes.
Like our senses overpower the more subtle aspects of like intuition or like gut feelings. Things.
And logic enters into
part
it.
Of that, yeah.
Which that applies to everything in my mind, of like how we look at life, like even to talk about love. It's like I always felt deep down that there was someone out there for me, but as I got older, or that there was a friend out there, or that I was meant to do certain things with life. And then as I got older,
I'm clapping because I'm that friend.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah. Thumbs up to that one. Ooh, high five.
As you got older.
As I got older, the weight of the world is how I feel. Like I just was like, that's childish. That's childish things. That must not be true. So you have to let that go. Okay, so I have to embrace this world and try and figure it out and plod along, even though, and so I would settle in relationships, or I would just think it was ridiculous. I would think that can't be real, but I would be miserable inside. I really felt like something was dying in there.
In the regarding the love theme, for me, I don't know that I ever thought, not to say you thought it was dumb, but like maybe you did just say you thought it was dumb. For me, I felt like I wanted it, of course, and I thought I was meant to have that, but I was so terrified to go through another heartbreak again.
Yeah.
I didn't think I could handle it. I was such a wimp.
Oh.
I was wimpy though. I was really scared of that level of heartbreak. I felt things so heavily.
It's overwhelming.
And I would go into such dark places. I was really scared of that. So I think for me, I kind of rewrote my definition of what love was and what I was looking for.
Right.
Some of that was probably realistic, to be honest, because I think I went from believing in, these really like romanticized fairy tales. There was
Yeah.
some of that element, but
Yeah.
some of it was giving up on love, as you say, like
Yeah.
really giving up that existed for me.
Putting away childish things.
And now I'm
Mhm.
like, I do believe it's out there for me.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to wait for it. And
Mhm.
I'm single now, but like I expect to have it, and I'll be single until I find it. I'm okay with that.
That's how I was. I got to a point where I'm like, I would rather be alone
Mhm.
than be in the wrong relationship, because that's more lonely.
Yeah.
And I'm actually okay alone. I don't feel.
I love it now.
Yeah, it takes a little bit. Because, and I always say that too. Maybe like when you break up with someone, or even friendships, what you're missing is what you thought that person was. It's not who they actually were.
Mhm.
Or maybe you're sensing an element of what you will have. And
Yeah.
maybe that person has a moment of that. They have a touch of that, but it's not quite right. So therefore it just feels like it holds you down. It bogs you down.
Mhm.
You're in the mire with that. And and when you hang on to that, basically it comes from fear.
Oh man, so much of what we
Right?
do that's bad for us is because of fear.
Absolutely. We still do it.
Yeah. Not
But-
that, I mean, not to be like overwhelmingly optimistic, but there's always something to learn. So it's not like it's all
Yeah,
bad if
you
you
have
take
to.
the best from it, but
Mm-mm.
no.
I've come to see, I might have always looked I don't know, but I've come to see that the good, the bad, the sad, the mad, I'm trying to sound like a Dirty Harry movie, or a spaghetti Western. That's beautiful because that's our life.
Mhm.
And that's the one thing we have. So all the sadness I've dealt with, all the disappointment, all of that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Now, if we don't learn from it, and if we get stuck in that story, that's a different story. If we get stuck in what we're telling ourselves this is.
Well, that brings me to something. I'm going to look at my notes here.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on one second. My digital notes. Okay. What feels better? It's the end of a decade, or it's the beginning of a new decade,
It's the beginning of a new
right?
decade.
I have another one. I have so much I didn't accomplish, or I have so much I'm going to accomplish.
Ooh.
The latter. I'm sad it's ending, or I'm excited for this new beginning. Because on either side, they're both true,
Mm-hmm.
but which perspective are you choosing?
Right. Choice.
Right? It's
Mhm.
choice. And it's choice where we put our focus, and taking ownership of our own perspective for me has been life changing.
Mhm.
I'm still
Yeah.
working on it. Like I still have to remind myself.
Oh, yeah.
And you have to, reflect on a lot to see like, okay, well, where am I landing on this conclusion here?
Mm-hmm.
But the point is really, whatever it is, they're both true. So choose the better feeling story.
Mm-hmm. I want to
Yeah.
piggyback on that. It's taken me a long time, or I'll catch myself going into that. There was so much I wanted to accomplish.
Right.
The what ifs, or I wanted to talk about this actually, like how we both got started and the things that have happened. Like in my career, I've definitely had some success, and it's not done. I'm not done. Like that's
Hell
ridiculous.
no.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like life is just beginning, to be honest. But I've had and I make a joke about it. I've had series regular roles on television shows and whatever, and they were supposed to do all these things. Big people that really had no reason to tell
And
me
she
this.
doesn't mean fat.
No, large, large people. I don't mean that. Just me.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Sorry. Didn't mean to derail.
But I mean, I had people in very high positions, and there was no reason for them to say that to me, that this is your star-making turn. This is, ooh.
Yeah, they weren't blowing smoke up your ass.
Yeah, exactly. There's no reason. They were just like, buckle up. And then nothing. You know what I mean? So I make a joke. I'm like, I hate that question when you meet people, like, oh, what have you been in? Especially out here when they find out you're an actor or whatever. Well, what,
Or when they say it with a condescending tone that, oh,
Mhm.
well, what have I seen you in? Almost like you're
Ooh.
not a legitimate artist
Yeah.
unless I've seen you in something.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
oh, really? Is
Yeah.
that I have to prove myself to
Yeah,
you
yeah,
right now?
exactly.
Oh, LA.
Yeah, but to go back, You're reminding me, though. I mean, I would always say, well, if you're a channel hopper, you've seen me. I've been in enough things back in the day. That's true. And then also I've had series, but that's my new thing. It's like, well, you know, I've been in a series regular and a couple of failed series. Big films never went anywhere. Like, you know, that's
I
pretty
will
much
often
it.
be like, oh, I just have one of those faces. And if they're really insistent, then I'll, you know, be like, well, do you have an Xbox?
Yeah, I was going to say, guys, she's a YouTube phenomenon
No.
or was, or.
I don't know that I would at any point was. I mean, I was an early adopter of the platform. My first
She was a big
channel
deal.
was in 2005, which is the same year the site was even around. And then my main channel was 2006. So I was an early adopter. I was around and I watched it evolve. But for me, my highest point, 20K subscribers, is not anything.
I'd be happy with that. Though, I mean, like, that's
This
good,
day and
though.
age.
Yeah.
I mean, it's absolutely meant everything to me at the time. I think
It's
I was
a big deal.
thrilled.
It's an accomplishment.
And it would be fascinating to try to even revisit that world for me. But anyway.
Well, to finish that, like talking about where we came from.
Yeah.
I was in TV and radio in St. Louis, kind of, and behind the scenes. You know, what they would call a little bit of a big fish in a small pond, so to say. No offense, St. Louis, but that's a good way to put that.
Well, compared to LA, if anybody's giving you shit about that, then they're overthinking it.
Exactly. But it was thank you. Had a production company. We were about to do all this stuff. And then I decided I really wanted to move out here. You know, like, it was just time. There's a lot of things that happened in my life at that time that I'll go into later. But it was just time to give it a shot.
When I mentioned YouTube and Xbox, but that's by no means where I started. That's just where I got the most known from.
Yeah.
But I mean, I started in theater when I was a kid.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then I
I
started
did
doing
theater.
commercial work, and then
Commercials. I did commercials.
I mean, I've been union since the 90s.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's definitely been like, I did film work far before I ever was on the internet or hosting. And what's fascinating is some of my long-term fans still don't know that acting was the first thing I ever did, and I've always loved and is my favorite thing. Hosting just happened to be the gig I got.
But exactly. You know what's cool about all that, though, is everything we've ever done. And I was a science major in college, for God's sake. And then I went to, a broadcasting school as well. So there's always those two sides of me, the scientist and the artistic side. But all of that stuff we've done is very relevant for what we're doing now.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Sort of kind of is, isn't it?
Yeah. Sort of, kind of, yeah.
And we're both writers. I mean, we wear many hats.
Exactly, yeah. I've
so
had a production company out here.
Putting it all into a podcast seemed like a really fun idea.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, let's grab the bull by the horns and just do it.
Well, because first of all, we're always talking anyway.
Like, we could FaceTime each other
all the time.
for hours.
Yeah.
Hours.
And it's always about kind of like self-help stuff. Like, we're always growing when we're talking about the things we've learned. And people come to us for advice individually.
It's weird.
And so we're like, okay, so clearly we're on to something with the whole life experience thing. But then there's the unknowable thing aspect.
We can talk about that.
There's a whole supernatural, multidimensional reality that we talk about all the time. And I'm hungry to hear more from other people. And I don't feel like it's out there anywhere near as much. People just having like really...
I think it's more segmented. Oh, ghosts. Like, because we don't want to be ghost hunters, But I mean...
I don't have a lot of ghost experiences anyway.
No.
I've seen an apparition. If I saw something that looked like a person, I'd call it a ghost. The thing I saw was like a mist.
Like a mist, right?
Yeah. My experiences have been different than that.
Yeah. But we have some, but that's what I mean. Like, to encompass all of those things, we're like, well, that's us. So there's got to be people out there
that would be wanting to hear this,
that would dig it.
Podcast.
So pitch in, tell us what you want to talk about. Be a part of it with us. We want to learn also.
No politics. I'm sorry. They're super important.
Yeah.
But other people are doing a really good job covering the politics, and I want to talk about other things.
Yeah.
I want to talk about unknowable things.
Unknowable things.
I do.
I agree.
and we're not experts,
No,
but we have
exactly.
some, I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm doing this,
I do that one too.
but we have some pretty good things to share.
Yes, we do. And we're really looking forward to it. And it's something that we love and we want to do and we want to put out there into the world. So,
Yeah,
high five
sorta,
to us.
kinda.
Yeah, sort of, kind
A
of.
podcast about life lessons and unknowable things from two non-experts.
And there you go.
Coming soon.
Coming
January
soon.
2020.
January 22nd of
2020 is the year.
Yes. Yes.
22nd is the date.
I'm just saying there's a lot of twos in there for those numerology.
1 2
people.
2 2 0 2 0 to be specific to you for that.
To you.
Be specific to you.
Exactly.
Wow. Thanks for listening and or watching. That's yeah, sorta, kinda. We will see you and hear you. No.
You'll
damn
hear
it.
us
You'll hear us
next week.
next week.